Today I want to talk to the guys about growing old with your wife. Now, whether you are young and looking for a wife, or you've just gotten married, or you're a little further along and you're going through those rougher spots that can come in the midlife crisis, or you're older, this applies to all of you. You see, when we're young, we think we know what love is. We believe that love is this infatuation, this crazy, all-encompassing, heated feeling. And it can be. It's definitely a type of love, but it is not the love that I'm talking about as you grow older with your wife. And it is one of those things that is so difficult to explain that all I can say is you have to trust me. That the love that you get and you have with a wife after 20, 30, 40 years is a truly beautiful thing. A beauty that is far deeper, far more lovely, far more wonderful, far more wondrous than you could ever imagine when you are younger or when you first are in a relationship. That depth, that beauty is like a fine wine. The aroma just comes and just kind of envelops you. It is a wonderful thing that builds a contentment which is so hard to describe. And I'm not doing a very good job of it right now, but it is truly wonderful. So when you start out, hopefully when you're young, you want to find a wife because you know that's the right thing to do. And in Proverbs 18 it says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." Because the Lord created marriage. He created man and woman. He created us together to be together. It says in Genesis 2, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." That hold fast to your wife is super important. You can't be like the bees going around and finding new flowers. You need to hold fast to your wife. Because the wife is there as the anchor. Because, generally speaking, it is the wife who builds the nest. Men, again, generally speaking, are the more adventurous souls, the ones who want to go out and do things. Women do things also, but they do things in the context, usually, of a home. That's far more important to them, and it is good, because you need both. You can't have all one or all of the other. You need both. Now, you need both to support the other in what they do. The man needs to support the wife in building the home, and the wife needs to support her husband in going out and being adventurous or doing things outside the home, and so on. There has to be balance, and that is learned over time. And it is something which is shown here in Proverbs 31. It says, "An excellent wife who can find? She is more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her. He will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life." You see the dual working here? The husband trusts in his wife. He doesn't have to lord over her. He trusts her. And she does him good and not harm. That is the way you work together. That's how you start to become one flesh. But there are always times where you can have differences of opinion, where you can have a bit of strife from all sorts of different situations. Sometimes the situation is made up because of what you did wrong to your wife, to someone else that involves your wife, or she did something wrong, whatever. And there could be strife. And there will be. We're human. It will happen. But, as it says in Proverbs 10, hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. If you allow yourself to be consumed with hate, bitterness, that will drive a wedge between you and your wife, and you can't have that. You can't let it take over, because you must love. And what's love? Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. You have to remember that you're in it together for the long haul. And when you do, you become more of that one flesh that God wanted and wants from the beginning. It is so important to understand that when you're going through these things and you have life's ups and downs, it actually strengthens you. It's not that you want to have problems, but you will have problems. But as you go through the problems and you work together in love, the bond becomes even stronger. And you need to always remember that the strongest bond is a three-way bond. You and your wife and God. It says in Ecclesiastes, "And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. And a threefold cord is not quickly broken." And that third portion of that three-way cord, or threefold cord, is God. If you are seeking God, because remember Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and your wife is doing the same thing, she's seeking first the kingdom of heaven, you're both seeking the same thing, and that's going to bring you together, and bring you together closer than you were before. And you might think you're really close. You might think you're really, really close. Let me tell you, you can get closer. Now, it is something to remember that we men, have to keep our eyes on God and on our wife. We cannot let our eyes stray. That is the kiss of death. It really is. It is cancer to a relationship. Again, from Proverbs. And remember, Proverbs, particularly in the earlier chapters of Proverbs, is very poetic. Drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets? Let them be for yourself alone, and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth, a lovely deer, a graceful doe. Let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love. As you get older, sex can be different. And that's fine. It is absolutely fine. Sex can be less often, and that's fine. Because you'll learn as you get older and as you become more one flesh that the sex act becomes more beautiful, more wonderful, more just more satisfying than you could ever imagine, because it's deeper. It's not that surface big thrill that it was when you were younger. It is now something so deep that it goes into the innermost part of your being, that connection is so real that you just revel in it. To be intoxicated always in her love. It is that way. And even when you're just snuggling on the couch, holding her tightly to you, not doing anything sexual, but just being close, holding her body close to you, that feeling is so wonderful. And guys, if you're not doing that, do it. Give your wife back rubs. Give her a foot rub. Hold her tightly to you. She longs for that. Because what you want is to grow old with your wife in a way that is like Solomon wrote in the Song of Solomon. Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm, for love is strong as death, jealousy is fierce as the grave. Its flashes are flashes of fire, and the very flame of the Lord. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. If a man offered for love all the wealth of his house, he would be utterly despised. You see, you can't buy love. You can't. It can only be freely given. And when your wife freely gives her love to you, and you give your love to your wife freely, openly, trusting in each other, and that trust and love is over years and years and years. The depth of that love is unfathomable, truly. It is wonderful, and I wish everyone to have that feeling of love that is only surpassed by the love that God the Father has for us.